All right, so this question revolves around an intraday flag pattern. So what we're looking for is either a new low forming for the day. All right, that's the first step. Or here we have the opposite, or a new high forming here. All right, and let's see, this new high, I think, kind of illustrates better what's going on here. So after a new high, when we get some pullback bars, right, we're going to track the high of these pullback bars and wait until we get a bar where the high, the wick, breaks the high of the previous bar. Right, so we can see the high wicks are going lower and lower, and then we get and then they stop going lower, and then finally on the fifth bar here, we get a wick, a high, breaking the previous bar's high, right? And so the opposite would be, right, we get a low and we get a higher low and a higher low, right? So the lows keep moving up, keep going higher until we get a bar that finally breaks the previous bar's low. So that's what we're looking for. And then, and so let's see. So this is the trigger bar here. So the one part about this question that we can't do because we don't have an indicator to do this is this no trade zone here, right? This no-go zone, this no trade zone. So, so rule number 5 here. So if the high of the setup bar is broken before 5 bars, then the setup is canceled, right? So that would be, right, this bar number 3 here, the high of this setup bar, basically if price, breaks the high of this bar, then the trade is canceled. But what we need is an indicator to track the high of this bar, right? So BloodHound is not a tracking indicator. So BloodHound does not track bar prices. That's the job of indicators. And so we don't have an indicator that's going to track the high of this setup bar here. So we can't do rule number 5 here, this no trade zone. Same thing on the on our little uptrend flag here, right? The low of bar number 3 here, or I'm sorry, the low of bar number 4 here, right? We have this no trade zone or no go zone. Yeah, so tracking the low of bar number 4 for this no trade zone, that requires an indicator to track that value, to track it forward in time. So that part can't be done, but we can do the rest of it here. So, all right, so we have a maximum of a 5-bar pattern. And David, I take it that you want the signal on the bar that breaks the flag trigger bar. Yes. Okay. Great. Yep. So we can see here. So when we're in a downtrend and we're generating a down flag pattern. So right, and so the lows go higher and higher. So the bar that breaks, the first bar that breaks, right, the highest low within our flag pattern, that's what's going to generate the signal. So the signal is going to be on the bar that breaks the low of the most recent bar. And so for a long flag pattern, as the high of the wicks come down, the bar that breaks the previous high, that's going to be the signal bar. So the trigger bar flag pattern. Yeah, so right there. All right, so we probably need some minute bars to take a look at this. And let's also, I'm going to throw on here what is it? Current day, I think it's called, current day high. Yeah, current day open, high, low. So I'm going to use this, current day, open, high, low to track the high, right? The high of the day and the low of the day. So let's see, I'm going to turn off the open. Don't need to track the open. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there's some highs. So yeah, it looks like the highs for today were made earlier this morning. And we're kind of in the middle of today's range. Yeah. So, all right. So before I can get started here, the next thing I need to do is find some patterns here. Technically, this one doesn't qualify because the low of the trigger bar was broken. But since we can't do that part, we will get a signal here. Right, so I'm just going to mark it with a triangle just to let us know that that actually doesn't technically qualify. Let's see. Yeah, nothing there, unfortunately. Okay, there's another one. Okay, so we have a bunch today to work with. Yeah, just want to see if we actually have any short trend flags to work with. No, not today. Today has been a pretty good up day. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, and again, we're going to get a signal here, but again, this one is invalid. Yeah, this one is invalid because the high, right, of our trigger bar was broken. Okay. Anyways, we have a bunch marked up, so we got some areas on the chart to work with. All right, something like that, an intraday flag pattern. All right, so the first part of this is finding, right, these new highs for the day. You know, identifying the new high, right, which is the beginning phase of a potential flag pattern occurring, right? So we need to identify these new highs here. That's pretty simple, right? So we can basically look at the high of the bar and see, does it equal this indicator, right? Does the high of the bar equal the current day high-low indicator? All right, so obviously the high of this bar doesn't equal it, so none of these bars have highs, but when we do, we got one. So we're going to use, and again, all this work is going to be done on the default time frame here. So to do this, we want to do a comparison, right? We want a comparison solver. So we're comparing the bar high to the indicator plot. All right, so let's see here. We're looking for a new high or low. All right. All right, so input A, doesn't matter if it's the indicator or it could be the bar price, doesn't matter. So, but I'm going to set it to the bar price. And then for a long, we're looking at the high of the bar. And for shorts, right, for short flag patterns, we're going to be looking at the low of the bar. Right, input B, well, that's going to be our current day high-low indicator. So let's go in here. Let's find the indicator. And make sure we select the correct plots. So we're using the current high for potential long signals. And if price is making new lows, right, we're using the current low for potential short signals from short flags. All right. Now we want the two to equal each other, right? So we want A equals B. So that's the output that we want. So we're going to turn these other outputs off. There. Set that on. Set that on. Like so. And there we have it, right? So now all of these new high bars have been identified for us. Right? So, and let's just scroll way back. Way back. There we go. All right. So we just want to confirm, right, that new lows, right, that new lows are working as well. So there we go. All right. There's number one. And taking a look at the rules again here. This is a maximum of a 5-bar pattern. So if we look here, we have the bars numbered for us, right? So the first bar that makes a new low or a new high is bar number 1. So from bar number 1, we only have a maximum of 5 bars in which this pattern can occur in. So let's take a look at the longs here, right? So here's a new high, and so this becomes bar number 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we get, right, a new high, we need to extend this, condition out 5 bars. So to do that, I'm going to use this signal extender. Let's see. I could use, let's see. Yeah, I could use the look back node as well. For this particular situation, either one will work fine. If I use the look back node, right, there's a look back period. I could set that to 5 and then use the max mode for that. So using the signal extenders, I don't know, it's just because. No real reason to. Although I don't know, I'm not sure yet if I'll need to, but I might need to use the reset function of the signal extender. It's a possibility. I can't think of why I might need the reset right now, but as I build the system out, I might discover a reason why I might need to use the reset. Use the reset of this. So, but yeah, we'll see if I do or don't. I'm not sure yet. Okay, so there. So we're extending this out by 5 bars. So, right. So when we get a new high, we're basically extending that long signal out 5 bars here, right? Yeah. So looking at this now, right? So we basically have. So from the beginning of this new high, we just have this solid, swath of continuously long signals here. So I think maybe what I'll do, just as a precaution, is when we do get a signal here, when we do get this long signal, then what I'll do is I'll take this long signal and I'll feed it back into the signal extender to turn the signal extender off. So that way, right, on the next bar here, this signal extender will be turned off. We'll turn the signal extender off on this next bar to prevent any false positive signals, right? To prevent any kind of wrong signals, so to speak. So so I guess I will. So it does look like I will need the signal extender here, and I'm going to use the reset to turn the signal extender off. All right, so there is kind of step 1, and also building in the 5-bar limitation for this pattern. So now we need to start tracking. Let's see. We need to make sure that we get a retracement on the highs. So we need the highs to pull back. We need the highs of the bars to pull back, right? Or if it's a down pattern, right, the lows of the bars need to pull back. So let's look for that next. All right, I'm going to shove that way in the back, like so. All right, so to determine if, if the highs are stepping down or if the lows are stepping up, again, we're doing a comparison, right? We're going to compare the bar high to the previous bar's high. So we're going to need some more comparison solvers. Let's see here. So we're looking for bar lower highs or higher lows. All right, so our input types are going to be bar prices. So I'll switch both the input A and input B to prices. So for longs, we're using the high price, right? We're using the high of the bar. And so if it's a short pattern, we're using the low of the bar. So I'm going to do that for both of these. Here we go. Now, let's see. Input B, I want that to be one bar back, right? So input A, that's going to be like the current bar that we're looking at. So that's going to have a look back period of 1. And then input B, we want that to be one bar back, one bar behind, right? So our look back period is going to be 2. And we're looking at a single value. And let's see here. Oh. Now we need to figure out what our output needs to be. So the highs are getting smaller, or getting less. Yeah, so we actually want A less than B. Right? So remember, input A, that's our current bar. Right? And so let's zoom this out a little bit. So remember, the high, let's say that's our current bar. Here, we'll do it this way. Right? So the high of the current bar is less than the high of the previous bar. So remember, input A is our current bar. Input B is the previous bar back. So we want A less than B. So let's set those off, turn that on there. And so for the short output, we just want the opposite. So we'll turn the opposite outputs on and off. So let's take a look here. So perfect. As the highs stepped down, right? The highs stepped down, we got a long output. Right? We have one output here. One long output. But only when the highs step down, right? So if we look at this, the highs are stepping up. Right? The highs are stepping up. So there should not be a long output, and there isn't one. But when the highs step down, we're getting a long output. Okay, so perfect. Working good. So now I'm going to grab an AND node, connect that in there. Right, so here we go. So we now have identified that the flag pattern it's starting to set up, right? So we have our high stepping down, so it's starting to set up. Same thing over here, right? Here's our new high, and then the highs step down, so the pattern is starting to form. Let's see, same thing over here. The pattern is starting to form. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this is our fifth. Yeah, this is our fifth and last bar, and it doesn't break it. So it's setting up, but the pattern never completes. So we have a failed flag pattern here. So, but we can at least see the output is telling us is that the flag pattern is setting up. Right. So, all right, and now Now we need to look for the break, right? We need to look for the price breaking our flag high, the flag high pattern, which will be the next bar here. So what we need to do is this this output here needs this output needs to be extended forward one bar onto the next bar, right? Let's see. So there's a couple ways I can do this. Let's see. I'm just going to take a look back, like so. Connect that in, and so I'm just going to displace the output by 1, right? So I'm using this displacement of 1 bar. So we can see now, right, the signal used to be on this bar, but now I shifted it forward onto the next bar. Same thing over here, right? The signal used to be on this bar where the high stepped down, but then I shifted it forward or displaced it forward onto the next bar, looking for the breakout. So all right, so now so previously we were looking for the highs to step down. Now we need to look for the highs to step up, right? So this high stepped higher than the previous high. So we're basically looking for the opposite of what this solver is doing, right? This solver is looking for lower highs, in other words, highs to step down. Now we want to look for higher highs and lower lows, so the opposite condition. So let's grab a new comparison solver. Put that over here. Let's connect that in. All right, so we're looking for bar higher highs or lower lows. And actually, I'm going to adjust the names here. So that's my typical naming convention here. So there. All right, so higher highs and lower lows. So again, that we're going to set input A and input B. Those are going to be bar prices, right? We want the prices. So let's adjust these to look at prices. And again, for longs, we're looking at the high price. So we'll change the prices to high and to low. High and low. And remember, input B needs to be 1 bar back. So we need to change the look back period to 2. Right? If you look right now, right, there's absolutely no output. And that's because we're comparing the bars to each other, right? We're comparing the current bar, to the current bar. So that's why we have no output here. So once I click off, so once I input this period of 2, now we start seeing some output here. Right? So there we go. When the highs go higher, so when we're getting higher highs from bar to bar to bar, if we look at BloodHound, right, we're getting a long output every time the high of the bar steps higher. And if the low of the bar goes lower, then we're going to get a short output, right, for the opposite bar pattern. Okay, so there is our long output as the highs step higher or move higher. So now we need another AND node, right? Because remember, we have from over here, right, we have basically we kind of have our setup prepared, and now we just need that higher high, and we need that higher high. So we're going to combine both of these together like so. And that is our pattern. Yeah. yeah, that is it. And let's see here. Remember earlier I said I wanted to reset our signal extender, right? We have our signal extender here. I wanted to reset that. So what I'm going to do is when the highs step higher, I'm going to use that condition of the highs going higher. That's going to be my condition to reset the signal extender. So I should just be able to take this solver and connect it back into the reset there. Let me zoom in here. Yeah, let's zoom in so we can see what's going on. All right. So I'm taking this higher high, detection, feeding it into the reset, and I just now need to go into the resets here. So I have the signal extender selected, and I'm going into the resets, and so reset signal. Let's see, which of these resets do we want? Okay, actually this is not working here. Yeah, this isn't working as I expected because, right, look at here, we have new highs. Higher high, higher high, higher high. And so these higher highs are turning off my signal extender. So, yeah, so this actually isn't going to work. Yeah, so using this guy isn't going to work. Let's see if I can use this one back here. No, that's not going to work either. I'll have to give that a little more thought. Yeah, so what we would like ideally is we would like to take, right? We would like to take the actual flag pattern signal, right? This signal here, and take this signal and feed it back into the signal extender. We'd like to take this signal and feed it back into the signal extender. But you're not allowed to do that, right? Because it makes a circular logic. So you're not allowed to make a circular feedback logic, right? When you create feedback logics like that, you can get infinite feedback loops. So you're not allowed to take, right? So the signal extender is connected into the AND node, into the look back, and then into this AND node. So I can't take this one of these AND nodes and feed it back into the system, right? So I can't feed it back into it because that would create an infinite loop. Well, I'll have to think about that. Here. Yeah, let me try something here. I'm just going to experiment around here. Right, that's the beauty of BloodHound, is you can just kind of play with ideas, test them out very quickly. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this works. All right. All right, let me finish this up and I'll explain what we've done here. Cool. Yeah, so what I've been able to do is, right, so these two solvers here, right, they're looking for lower highs and higher lows. And basically I have this look back node, which is providing a displacement, or a 1 bar delay, right? So it's doing a displacement of 1 bar, which is a 1 bar delay. So this little bit of logic right here, what it's doing is, right, it's looking for the highs to step down and then step up, right? Because remember, I got this solver here is looking for the highs to step down, and then, right, my second solver here is looking for the highs to step up. So it's basically finding this step down and then step up pattern. Yeah, and thinking about this, I I've actually, while this works, I guess I've kind of overcomplicated it. You know, in seeing the picture how it is right now, yeah, I've kind of overcomplicated it. But in any case, the point being is that, right, I have this group of logic, right, this AND node here, which is not connected to the signal extender in any way, right? So I can take this AND node, connect it into the reset now, and I don't have a feedback loop. All right, this signal extender is not connected into this AND node in any way, so there's no feedback mechanism. So now, so I'm looking at the signal extender. So when we look at it, right, we get new highs, and this signal extender, right, is extending out, right, until I need one more node. I need another displacement. So I need another delay here. So this reset signal, I need to delay it by one more bar. Let's connect that in. There we go. There we go. Bingo. So now my signal extender, right, it's taking all these new highs and it's extending it out for 5 bars. But then once we get our trigger bar, right, our signal bar, once that occurs, we can see that the signal extender turns itself off, right? So we got 1, 2, 3 bars, and after we get the signal, it turns off. And then the signal extender turns on again once we get a new high, right? A new high. So there we go. So yeah, so we had bar going lower, we had a signal bar, but then now the signal extender would turn off, but we had a new high made. So the signal extender got turned back on right away again. So there we go. So this logic works, and I guess I'll just leave it. So I was thinking I could simplify this logic. You know, it's only a minor simplification, but I could take a inflection solver, right? I could use this inflection solver, and right, I can set the inflection solver to look at the high prices. So when the high prices inflect up, right, I would get a inflection signal of the high prices moving up from the inflection solver. And the same thing for the lows, right? When the lows inflect down, or when the lows reverse down using the low prices, I could get a short signal, when the low prices reverse down. And I could use that to reset the signal blocker. All right, so basically the inflection solver would do everything that this is doing here. So yeah, but I'm not using any extra solvers here. I just needed an extra logic node and some lookbacks. So yeah, so this looks like a little bit of extra work, but it really isn't. So there, I'll just organize that a little bit like so. Let's connect that up. Yeah. All right, with that, let's take a look at the overall chart. Let's see here. All right, so we have a new high. Prices are going down, and then they reverse back up. So there we go. So there's our trigger bar, and that trigger bar also makes a new high, which I guess is to be expected. Since these flag patterns happen at new highs, I'm sure it would makes sense that it would be very common that the signal bar might also make a new high as well and kind of set up for a new flag pattern. And so here we go. Prices are moving down, and then we get a new high. Perfect. Okay, yeah, those all look good. Let's take a look at these. Here we go, new high, a little pullback, and then we get that high broken there. Oh, well, yeah. Remember, we don't have this no trade zone rule implemented, so this is actually kind of a false positive there because we had the low broken. But so actually, you know what? We can implement this to an extent. Yeah, let's take a look here. Yeah, we can implement this to an extent. So what we can do is we can make sure that the signal bar, doesn't go below the previous bar low here. So yeah, let's go back here. Here we go. Here's where we were working. So let's take a look at this. Yeah. So we can detect if the signal bar breaks, I guess the previous bar's low, we can do that. And yeah, I guess actually after seeing how these signals work out, we don't actually need to take this low and extend it forward in time. The way I kind of read this setup here is I was thinking that this no-go zone would need to be extended forward in time, but it's actually only going to apply to the signal bar here. It's only going to apply to this because once we get a signal, you can't cancel that signal. If one of these other bars here afterwards breaks this no-go zone, you can't cancel that signal. It's already occurred, right? The signal's already occurred. So we can check, the bar that signals the flag pattern, we can check to see if it violates the flag's high or the flag's low. So we can implement this. So let's add that to it here. Let's see. So what do we need? All right. So for a long flag pattern, the lows need to the low needs to be greater or equal to the previous bar low. So we can't have a lower low, but we can have a higher low or an equal low. All right. So we just need another comparison solver. Yeah. So let's grab another comparison solver. And we'll connect this in. All right, so I want to pay attention to this bar here when I'm building this comparison solver. Yeah, so again, we're comparing bar prices to each other, right? Just like how we were comparing the highs stepping down or the highs making new higher highs, right? We're going to do the same thing. So input A is going to be price, input B is going to be price, and of course input B is going to be the previous bar. So do a look back period of 2 to look at the previous bar's price. And so this time for a long pattern, we're looking at the low price of the bar now. So we're basically reversing these prices here. Right. So remember on these other two solvers here, right? For a long signal, we were using the high prices, but this time, for this, to check for this kind of violation, this breaking of the flag pattern, we're actually going to use the opposite bar price. So we're using the low price now for long signals. And so now the next step is, what outputs do we want? We want that. Yeah, so if we're in a long pattern, right? So if we're in a long pattern here, hold on, let's connect this up. There we go. So we know that this was a valid long signal, and the low, it was a higher low, right? So the lows need to go higher. But if the lows go lower, then that's wrong. So the lows can go higher or they can be equal. Right? So the lows can go higher or they can be equal. So yeah, so A can be greater than B or A can equal B. But we don't want A to go less than B. Right? In other words, we don't want the low to go less than the previous bar's low. So that's the output we want. And so let's see here. Yeah, so look. So if the low steps down, right, you see how this low is lower than the previous bar's low? And there's no long output, right? We're missing a long output. So perfect. And then the lows go higher and we get a long output. The low goes higher and we have a long output. So as long as these lows keep going higher, we're getting a long output. But if we go over here, right, so here the lows are going lower, and on this signal bar the low went lower, and if we look, there's no long output. So the absence of this long output will kill the signal. So remember, back here on this signal here, right, we have a long output on this signal bar because the low went higher. But over here, right, the low went lower, and there is no long output from BloodHound. So there we go. So there's no long output here when that low goes lower. So let's connect that in. So if we take this solver and connect it in, bingo, it killed this signal. Right? It killed that signal because this solver was missing a long output on this bar because the low went lower. And this signal was kept because the lows went higher, and so this solver had a long output. It had a long output on that bar. So, all right, so let's give this a name here, right? So, so this is bar higher low or lower high, or equal, a higher or equal low, or a lower or equal high. All right. There, I'll just kind of switch these around here a little bit. There. All right, so let's scan through these again. And yeah, everything looks good there. Let's check this out. Yeah, looks good, looks good. Yeah, those look good. And let's check these out here. Okay, good. So, all right, so we found an issue here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got a signal on the 7th bar here. So we need to kind of debug this, troubleshoot this, and see what's going on. Okay. Yeah, simple mistake. I miscounted here. So the signal extender extends past, it extends past the signals coming in, right? So let's see here, right? So this bar generates the signal coming in. So let's take a look at this. Let's connect this up here, right? So this is the last bar with a long signal that's going into this signal extender. So from here, we're extending 5 bars past it. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this little short bar down here is the 5th bar past it. And so if we look at the signal extender, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I just need to reduce the signal extender to 4 bars. There we go. So now if we count, so if we include the bar that makes the new high, so bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. All right. And there we go. So now this 7th bar signal is no more. All right, so this signal was removed. And let's see here. Yeah, that one looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Let's see what we have over here. So we're going down, 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 then up. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, that looks good. All right. It even works with these little dojis in the overnight session right there where, price just isn't moving. And let's see, we have a short signal here. So let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the bar afterwards. So I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the 6th bar afterwards. So I guess you kind of have to, I'm not sure what exactly the limitations are when it says 5-bar pattern. So if the signal needs to happen by the 5th bar after the new high or low, right? So if you don't want this one because it's on the 6th bar after, so we got bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 bars in the flag pattern, and then the 6th bar, breaks the flag. So if you don't want to include, this extra 6th bar, we can simply go into our signal extender and just reduce it down to 3. There, something like that. All right. So yeah, so you can just increase or decrease the signal extender number here to, include more bars or remove bars there. But yeah, if we look at this, yeah, so there you go. So this bar, right? So we had a new day, a new session. Yeah, we had a new session start. So therefore the indicator reset itself. And so, yeah, so the first bar always sets a new low for the day, and then we had the lows moving up, and then we had it broken. Yeah. But of course, this would be outside of the trading hours, so so these signals here you would just ignore since it's outside the regular trading hours. All right, let's take a look at some of these others here. Yeah, we had a new high, at least a 1-bar pullback, and then a breakout. So perfect. Same thing here, a new high, a pullback in price, and then a breakout. Here we go. Here's probably a more legitimate short. So we had a new low. We had an equal low, and then higher low, and then a break of that low. So cool, great. Let's see, David's asking, can I put it on a 30-minute chart? Sure. Okay, there we go. Okay, guys, with that, if I don't see you tomorrow, have a good weekend. Bye-bye.